So now we move on to a part where I'm going to get a little heated with myself. I'm going to get very angry because I got to talk about this, and it's Disney Plus. What is Disney Plus? Well, Disney just announced. I'm going to adjust some stuff here. Disney finally announced what they're going to be calling their streaming service, and this is something that they've announced. I want to say last year. Yeah, it was last summer. I remember doing a similar podcast where I kind of ranted about this. But yes, they announced that they're going to have their own streaming services with all their movies, and they're going to create original series and the whole usual shebang that everybody does now. They finally named it Disney Plus, which is no surprise because they own ESPN, and ESPN has a streaming platform, ESPN Plus. So it doesn't surprise me there. But it's finally pushed me to an edge. And I know that sounds... I'm going to get it out of the way here. I know I sound like a hypocrite because I did write an article about DC Universe when we first started up the website, when they kind of talked about it. I'm currently subscribed to it, which I'm probably going to... Sorry, DC. I'm probably going to drop it and come back to it later because there's just not a lot to keep me going. But that's beside the point. Disney Plus has broken me. I gotta do it. This is my Tiananmen Square. I have to stand up to this. Why do we need all these streaming services? We have to stop. As a society, we have to say, this is it. This is the line in the sand. No more. Not every property, or not every company, I should say, deserves to have a streaming service. I understand we live in a capitalistic society where I'm from in America. And you can do whatever you want with your business that you please. But we've got to stop it. Because what was the whole point of streaming? When Netflix became the Netflix that we know it now, it was to cut the cord with cable. Because we were sick of paying these crazy monthly fees and getting all these channels, but not all of them really, do we really need 400 channels? No, we don't. Society, we don't. But there's just something that irks me about what Disney did here. And it's not Disney's fault. They're a business. They have a ton of properties, including Star Wars and Marvel, so that only makes sense for them as a company to do something like this. When you have all these properties, why not charge people to pay for it? Because people love it. I mean, just the Pixar movies and the animated movies from the 90s alone will get people to buy this. So I totally get it from a business standpoint. As a consumer, I hate it. And I'm always going to hate it. I don't, somebody could maybe let me know in the comments or, message Loud and Opinionated on Facebook or Twitter and maybe try and convince me otherwise. But it's good luck because I'm very angry. So, with the announcement of Disney Plus, they've also announced that they are going forward with the Loki series. I talked about this on my personal YouTube channel. They had floated the idea of doing a Loki series, which I hate because to me, Loki's story was wrapped up and where it needed to be in Infinity War, and the only spoilers for Infinity War, the only direction you could go is backwards. And just minus Red Dead Redemption 2, in general, I hate prequels. Because I know where the story ends. So, and the fact that they're making a series, probably a miniseries, but the fact they're making a series of this, to me, is idiotic. I get it. Tom Hiddleston crushed it as Loki, and people loved Loki. But what else can you tell me that's going to entice me? Because we know that he's a frost giant. We know that he's going to keep tricking Thor. We know what happens in Infinity War. And again, if you haven't seen that movie by now, what are you doing with your life? So what is the... Why? Why? And I think this is one of the reasons why Disney broke me. Because I understand if you're going to charge monthly, you have to hook people to give you that $10 a month. You got to have a stream of content to get them. Because yes, they'll come there for the stuff that you have with Pixar and like what I mentioned earlier, the animated movies from the 90s, or they have a ton of properties that they could rest on their laurels with. But to get most people to spend that $10 a month, they've got to have a stream of new original content. But what is the purpose of a Loki series other than to make the money? That's the thing that gets me the most. Is like there's nowhere to go with him. And then we also find out that Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian's going to be on there. I love Star Wars. I actually liked Solo. Not a lot of people did. Not a lot of people liked The Last Jedi, and I liked The Last Jedi. But to me, there's a message here that not a lot of people like. There's the Disney Star Wars. And now we're giving it to Jon Favreau, who did an amazing job with Iron Man and Iron Man. Iron Man 2 is okay, not a bad movie, I don't think. And you give him a series called The Mandalorian, and so now people are like, is it going to be about Boba Fett? Is he going to play a role in it? That's cool, and I like that idea, and I can understand why it's going to be on the streaming service, but you guys just put Star Wars on hold despite the main saga, despite Episode 9. You kind of just put all the spin-off movies on hold, but now you're going to double down on this series? What are we doing here? I think the big reason Disney Plus ruined me is because I might end up using it because I just want to see the Mandalorian series. You guys are just so greedy. And again, I've mentioned it. It makes so much sense business-wise. You're just printing money. And the fact that they're doing... I guess the purpose of the Loki series is to say, hey, look, we're going to do a little bit of Marvel miniseries. We have the little Star Wars. So maybe if it's successful, we'll keep doing other Marvel miniseries. And unlike their Star Wars, people still really, really love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they'll still get into it. And the reason I defended DC Universe, because DC Universe made a sort of a hybrid of a streaming service and a comic shop. I think that's the big reason why I was into it, because I wish they gotta get better with their library, but you could read the comics there, and they had encyclopedias and things like that. So if you're not familiar with a certain DC character, it was there on the database, but they had a comic book shop essentially, so I can read comics. That, to me, if they really beefed that up and made that better, that would be worth the $8 a month that you pay for DC Universe. But you don't see that with Disney Plus. Disney Plus is strictly a streaming service. It's just another thing to pay for. Well, let's look at it this way. How many streaming services do I have personally? I have Netflix. I have Hulu. Well, Netflix is probably the only one I pay for. So my argument isn't valid. But anyway, for me, as a consumer, Netflix, DC Universe, Hulu, almost said Halo, Hulu, HBO. That's 4. HBO, I think, is, I want to say $15 a month. I could be wrong. Netflix is 10. Pretty sure. Again, I might be off on these numbers, but for sake of argument, say it's 15 for HBO, 10 for Netflix and Hulu. DC Universe is 8. That's a lot of money right there. And say I was super into the UFC or WWE. I get WWE Network, that's $10 a month. The Fight app, which is $10 a month. My point is, why? Why do we keep stacking these streaming services? Because in the first place, to get rid of streaming services was to cut the cord and get rid of cable, because you didn't want to keep paying the prices that you were for DirecTV or Dish or whatever. But now we keep adding streaming services, so we keep paying for it. I mean, you have you say you really want to watch King of the Hill just came back to Hulu, and you just miss King of the Hill, and you want to watch that, so you have to pay the $10 there for Hulu. And well, Netflix has been killing it with the original series. I really like Daredevil. I really like the new Sabrina show. I gotta watch that, so that's $10 a month. Then HBO, good God, pretty much anything HBO makes, original series wise, is top notch. So I gotta watch those, which is $15 a month. And then you bring along Disney, who's like, oh, we're gonna make Marvel shows, we're gonna make Star Wars shows, so that's another $10 a month. DC is like, oh man, we're really trying hard, we're gonna nail it down. We got a Swamp Thing show, we got a Teen Titans show, which I need to watch more of. I've only watched one episode. But we got these things and Doom Patrol and all these other things coming down the pike. We're gonna put our animated movies, which are phenomenal. We're gonna put those on here. Oh, and we're gonna have comics. That's $8 a month. By the end of the day, you're gonna have 10 streaming services. And you're gonna be paying $100 to $150 a month. Well, not really, 120 probably. But you're gonna be paying that a month. Why can't we all just get along? Why do all these companies have to be greedy? And the worst part is, it makes sense financially for them, because you have all these, especially Disney. Disney owns everything. So they have all these amazing franchises that people are going to pay money for. All the stuff that I mentioned with Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar, that's the thing. They have a kid angle. They have so much entertainment that's family friendly that could work, and that's kind of what their driving force is they're going to be like the big family friendly service. And kids now, you gotta put a tablet in front of their face. I'm not saying parents to do that are bad parents. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you almost have to at this point in our society. That's just the way that kids are viewing entertainment now. That's okay. I want to make that clear, because I have friends that have kids, and I'm not saying they're bad parents because they put a tablet in front of their face. That's not what I'm saying. Cover my ass here. And yes, somebody's going to pay for it, and you're going to borrow their login, because that's just how we work. I get it. I do it. My friends do it. Everybody does it. But I'm just saying, if you're someone, as a consumer, maybe not me, but a consumer, this is what frustrates me, is I'm always someone that's going to be on the side of the consumer, because I don't own these kind of things. So it's just so much money for entertainment. And you argue that the argument is obviously the same argument for anything. It's, you don't have to pay for these things. It's optional. It's just entertainment. I 100% agree with you. But I'm someone that has to know these things and cares about these things. Like, when I saw the trailer for Daredevil, if I didn't already have Netflix, I was going to buy it. They sold me on it. You know what I'm saying? And it's water cooler talk, man. There's so many shows out there that you want to talk about and share these experiences with other people. It's the social aspect. So when you say you don't have to get it, you don't. But if you have friends and you don't, they're probably going to be annoyed if you keep showing up or taking their login. They're going to want to know about these things, and you're going to have to spend the money. It's just the simplest fact as that. In a perfect world for me, there would be like 3 services. There would be like Hulu, Netflix, and HBO, and that's it. And everybody would get along, and Netflix would pay whatever money they wanted to for Disney to still have Marvel shows. Or, the same thing with Hulu. Because what happens with Runaways for Hulu? What happens with Cloak and Dagger? That was on TNT. All these things go back to Disney, and you can't tell me they're not. They took Luke Cage. They took Iron Fist. I don't really care. They suck, but they definitely took their toys. And we're like, we're gonna play with these now. It's such a first world problem episode to be complaining about streaming services like I am, but I think we've hit critical mass. DC Universe was already putting me on the brink, and now Disney just put me over the edge. We're spending too much money on these streaming services. And you know, I think the thing that bothers me the most is why do we have all these streaming services and we still don't have a dedicated, I'm sure there probably is one out there, but it probably sucks, a dedicated sports streaming service. Where is it? Oh, there's also YouTube TV and YouTube Red. So YouTube got in on the action. You know how I know about these things? Because whenever I'm on YouTube, and I frequently am, I get bombarded with it. When I skip ads, it's like, well, you could get it ad-free with YouTube Red. Pay $10 a month just to not have an annoying 15-second ad. You know what? I will take the 15 seconds because I'm cheap. This is going to be really hard if we ever launch a Patreon for Loud and Opinionated for anybody to pay for it, because as much as I'm railing against streaming services. But we'll deal with that when we come to it. This is, the most annoying thing. I'll probably buy Disney Plus because I want to see the Mandalorian series. And I mentioned that earlier. I want to keep reiterating that. This sucks because they're all making such good content. And we can't just have one platform. That's always been the issue. And competition will always make the market better. I totally get that. But it's the same thing where it's like, man, PlayStation is killing it with their exclusives. But there's a lot of cool things, and all my friends play on Xbox, and I wish we could all be on one console, but I know it's not going to happen. That's just the nature of the beast. So we have to have competition. You have to have a driving force. I get that. That's the point. It's a free market. I don't know. Am I crazy? Am I the only one that is this upset about the amount of streaming services we're having? Am I just an old man yelling at a cloud? Let me know in the comments below on the YouTube video. Leave it. Like I said, leave a comment on the Facebook or Twitter. Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like we just have too much. I think that's the situation we're in. Thank you so much for listening to this just insane episode of Loud and Opinionated. I am your host, Jake Williams. You can get the show on so many platforms. You can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Spotify. We just got on Spotify. I'm very happy about that. Oh, yeah, don't even get me started on music streaming services. No, but I'm very happy that Spotify has kind of changed their stance and really opened it up for more podcasts and content creators. That's good for a small show like this one to be on a big platform like Spotify. So yes, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I believe by the time this goes live, we'll be on Stitcher. Pretty much anywhere you can get a podcast service, or anywhere you listen to your podcast, we are there. And I'm very happy with this show. I'm gonna keep trying to put them up twice a week, 2-topic format where I just rail against something or I praise something, or we remember a legend like we did Stan Lee in this episode. You want to follow us on social media? Go ahead and do that. We at Loud Opinionated on Twitter. It's also Loud and Opinionated on Facebook. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, if you want to contribute to our website, write some articles, share your opinions. We don't silence opinions unless they're very, very racist or bigoted. We don't believe in that nonsense. Be loud at loudandopinionated.com. That's the email where you send in your article, and we will put it up for you on the website, credit you, and share it on social media and applaud you. So have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for listening.